Now, for most of my life, I was worried about what others thought about me. I was worried about fitting in, saying the right thing, and being accepted by the people around me. But looking back, the biggest mistake I ever made was trying to be something that somebody else wanted me to be, or living up to somebody else's version of my life. Growing up and even into my, my teen years, or even my younger adult years, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be that popular guy. I wanted to be that person that everybody liked. It really bugged me when somebody told me something about myself that I didn't like. Or sometimes they would give you unsolicited advice or call you something that's completely wrong or off basis. So I cared too much about people's opinions, about what others thought about me, and I wanted to impress everyone around me. I didn't want to be looked as less than. And I tried to be the one who I tried to be what other people thought they wanted me to be, which is kind of funny and kind of goofy because I'm trying to, and a lot of us do this, right? We try to interpret people's thoughts or interpret people what they want from you. And we try so hard to be that person. We go to great lengths to impress people. And we do things that are, sometimes could be a bit hazard to us, our own health, to accept approval by other people. But the problem with that is you start feeling disconnected from who you are deep down. And I feel like that's the greatest sin that you can do to yourself. That's the greatest betrayal to yourself, is being something you're not. Trying to win approval from others. Trying to climb the social hierarchy. For what? So somebody could see you as, I don't know, the boss, the funny person, the popular guy in the crowd, in the group, part of the boys, part of the girls, whatever it may be. We all have this longing to fit in, to be accepted by the group or the crowd. But there's a cost to that. There's a cost to not being yourself. So growing up, I had a lot of learning disabilities. From ADHD to dyslexia. And I said before on this podcast that I was very tongue-tied as a child into my teen and adult years. And I still have these learning disabilities from ADHD and dyslexia. There's dyslexia. They don't go away. I'm still a little bit tongue-tied, as you can tell. I kind of fumble over my words sometimes. But after a while of trying to win people's approval, I started going quiet. I remember sitting in the classroom in middle school and being called on to read a paragraph out of a book. And I would try to, look forward in the book to see what paragraph I had to read so I could read it first so I wouldn't, look like I was unable to read these things. And I wasn't paying attention to what was going on around me because of my ADHD. And then when my turn came, I would fumble over these words because of my dyslexia and this disconnect from my brain and what I'm seeing on the page. And then you throw on my speech impediment of me fumbling over my words. And people see you in one way because of that reason. And then I just stopped trying to impress people because I wasn't going to. Because people are going to see you the way they see you on their perspective of the world, on their perspective of you. And another thing I learned as I went quiet and started just observing people and how they act. People will tell you one thing and they'll do another. They wear these masks. They'll go home and be them true selves, but when they go to work, they'll put on these masks to cover up who they really are. Or they'll change their mask depending on the audience. And I realized I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be me. And I realized approval never lasts. It fades. Because usually the people you're trying to win approval for are just wearing masks anyway, and they're changing them on a daily basis. And it's hard to keep up. And I think it's a sin to yourself and who you are to do that. I think it's the greatest sin you can do. Being not yourself, being something else. And there's a few other things I learned growing up with these issues about how people treated me. They only see the world in one way. They fail to see your perspective of things. Even though I had all these learning disabilities, I was also tested as a kid on my IQ level because of these learning disabilities, and then having a very high IQ. But even though kids would call me stupid because of me fumbling over my words or me struggling to read because I have ADHD and dyslexia, I couldn't sit still longer than 2 seconds. So people see you, they see what they want to see. And a lot of us go through life trying to interpret what other people want to see, and we try to become that person. But the thing about people is they're going to judge you no matter what. You can speak up and they're going to call you overly spoken. They're going to say you say too much, you talk too much. Or you can be quiet. They're going to say, he doesn't say much. He's a quiet guy. He's reserved. But the thing is, people are going to judge you no matter what you do. people are going to dislike you, and some people are going to you're going to click with. That's just kind of how the world works. But the thing about people's opinions is they don't pay your bills. They don't raise your kids. Or live your life for you. So a lot of us need to learn to stand on our own. We got to start being comfortable with being different. You know, the funny thing is, I started to really kind of share my life story on Instagram or social media, which is very awkward for me, but I do it because I think it's important. I think a lot of people will struggle to say these things or scared to say these things. But when you live a life that is absent of people's approval, it becomes a little easier. You become yourself. You say the things that you want to say, you speak up. You focus on your values and who you are deep down. You choose your own path and what you want to be in this world. And you got to accept that not everybody's going to like you. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. And I know some people don't like me. I can tell. I don't care. You like me, you like me. You don't, you don't. It ain't going to change my life whatsoever. But if you want to focus so much on what I'm doing instead of paying attention to your own life, well, that's on you. You got to live authentically. You got to speak your mind respectfully. Pursue your goals that matter to you. And then you find freedom in just being yourself.